Heippa hei! It's Riikka Kovasin here, and this time I'm making a set of cards. For these I'm playing with some paper artsy stamps, embossing inks, and also using the new Spritz I have. I have just a couple of colors, but this was the first project I used them on. I'm first stamping my focal points, which are these florals by Paper Artsy. I'm using a stamping tool because if you follow my videos, you know that I'm not that good of a stamper. So if I miss a spot, this is the easy way to get a nice impression. Then I'm using a black embossing powder to emboss these flowers. Sprinkling the powder on and then heating it. It seems that I missed a spot in one of the flowers, so after heating I actually go and stamp the design again to get all the lines nice and crisp. I did a little color chart on the Spritz I have to the other side of this cardstock, and then I'm using just brush tip markers to color the blooms. For a little bit of extra shine, when I have all the coloring done, I then use a teeny tiny brush and add some of that Spritz on top of the flowers. So there's this lovely shine when you tilt the card. After I have the flowers done, I then use scissors to cut them out. I'm using the Spritz also to make the backgrounds for the cards. These are kind of, not clean and simple because I can't do clean and simple, but still I didn't want to have the background full of mixed media. There's just touches, let's say. So I'm using stencils and the Spritzes and creating a couple of cardstock pieces, which I then use for the background. As another layer to the background, I'm then adding some golden embossing there. This is another Paper Artsy stamp I'm using to stamp kind of a ring design on top, and then using a golden embossing powder to make it shiny. Again, sprinkling the powder on and then using a heat tool to melt the powder. Of course, before adding the stamping and the embossing powder, I dried the Spritz backgrounds because otherwise the embossing powder would also stick to the wet media. When I then have the embossed designs done, I'm adding a couple of black splashes, kind of adding a little bit of contrast to the background and kind of also binding the focal point and the background together with that color. Then there's a little gap in the process because I went over to my sewing machine and added a piece of black cardstock underneath the kind of focal area I then have going, and used black sewing thread also to make this little frame to the piece. I'm then adding some pieces of tape to the design, adding just a teeny tiny touch of pattern there, and then using another piece of tape to secure the flower in place. Mainly it's in place using foam tape, but this is just a little extra element I'm then putting there. Also, for a little extra sparkle and shine, there's some golden embroidery thread underneath the flowers. I'm finishing each card with some rhinestone stickers and then adding a sentiment from a Tim Holtz sticker bag. Here I'm then adding each of the focal areas, let's say, to a white card base and then adding the sentiments in place. And after that, the set is done. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you saw, please consider subscribing. And if you're wanting to know the materials, they are in the description box listed. I'll be seeing you within a week with another video. Thanks again. Bye.